Alright, hello everyone and welcome to a replay review. It's a little different than my other replay reviews. This one is going to be about the DotP Tryhard team versus Tactical Funk Syndicate even, in AD2L Season 9. They asked me to do this replay review. Of course, I'm Ursinity, I host Thursdays, and this will be focusing a lot on decision making. I'll talk about the draft, but that's not really the focus. The focus is mostly on, once we get into the game, if Wazoo, for instance, their carry player, if he decides to farm instead of fight, or if he decides to fight instead of farm, stuff like that, are what we'll be going over. Because that's stuff that you learn when you do a replay review. It's not helpful to think, I've gone over this before in other replays, but it's not helpful to be like, oh, well, he missed a CS, because that's just a mechanical thing. But it's very productive to think like, I pushed the lane and I died, so next time in the future, I'll look at the minimap and maybe I won't push the lane and die. Or I'll look at the minimap, see everybody's top lane, and then you get to push, or whatever. So these are pretty okay bans. I think these bans are more like, unless they're target bans, of course. I don't have research on the Tactical Funk Syndicate. TFS is what I may be shortening them to. And alright, so Earthshaker pick from the Tryhards. That's a Mista Blue comfort pick, I'm sure. That's a favorite. Although I'm sure other people play it. I believe Mista is their mid, maybe their off lane. I'm not sure exactly because I know they kind of like trade around slots a little bit. But Winter Wyvern pick coming out from TFS, pretty standard first pick. He's just a safe hero. He's really good in almost all situations, I'd say. She rather. I'm a big fan. Spirit Breaker pick as well. They're copying our We Like Dota League draft, clearly, from my team in that. Winter Wyvern Spirit Breaker, it covers your bases. Spirit Breaker is a safe pick in the early stages because he can support, he can also offlane, so, if you have the opportunity to pick an offlane, like a Brood or a Timber or whatever, then you're still able to pick it. And similarly, if you need a support, like, oh, well, man, Lion would be really good here, or, oh, Silencer, whatever, yeah, whatever support pick, that's also open too. So you have a lot of options that way. Plus aggression is just really good. And he meshes well with Winter Wyvern because of the nature of, they both do a lot of things early game, right? Spear Breaker and charge into the lane. Arctic Burn from Winter Wyvern comes out, does a ton of damage. You get even more hits off of it because of the stuns. And it's a really pretty standard but strong combination. I'm interested to see what the Tryhard's second pick is. In full disclosure, I have not watched these games. I know nothing. I don't know nothing. I had it spoiled for me thanks to Joe. So I have a general idea how these games go, but that won't taint my review, I'm sure. But draft-wise, I have no clue what's going to happen. So Earthshaker, Earthshaker Lion. So Cyphus will be playing Lion, I assume. And maybe Joeshmo will be playing Earthshaker, or maybe we'll see like an offlane Earthshaker from Mista. Who knows? Earthshaker is very similar to Spirit Breaker in that he can offlane and he can also support. So it's a safe early pick because it doesn't telegraph stuff. Like for instance, if they picked like Lion and I don't know some other support, like a Lion CM, if they picked those two, then this TFS team they would have known like, oh well, they picked all the other supports, so they don't have to worry about like, oh well, what if they surprise us with X support. And then they can kind of draft around that and know, like, oh, well, their supports are bad against Brood, so let's pick Brood. Or, oh, their supports are bad against Timber, stuff like that. So that's a very smart way to play, or a smart way to draft. I'm already seeing TFS, they ban Legion. I don't believe that's a target ban against this .P team, so there's definitely a possibility for a Brood pick to come out from them. Legion is one of the best counters to Brood. Also a very good counter to PL, if they're looking to pick a PL. PL though, I wouldn't pick PL into Earthshaker per se, because as the game continues, once Earthshaker has his blink, that can get messy real quick. Darkseer ban coming out, pretty standard ban. Winter Wyvern Darkseer is a common combo, and it's very, very potent. It's a common combo because they work well together without relying on each other, right? So like you can pick the Winter Wyvern or the Darkseer, and they're really good alone, but when you pick both of them, it just like is very natural synergy, and it's not like a gimmicky thing that is just like hit or miss. It's very like you know, even if it doesn't work out, it's you still have two very good heroes, right? It's not like a Wisp Tiny where it's like, oh well, if your Wisp Tiny pairing doesn't work out, then like you're better off with different heroes. All right, and a Tusk ban, standard stuff. Tusk, good hero. A lot of times you'll see him in the first phase bans. He's very disruptive, very aggressive. I might actually speed up this draft just because we're trying to focus on the game a little more than anything else. Maybe we'll slow it down as the once picks come out. Going into our reserve time here. This is a best of 3, so I will be casting / reviewing. I'll say reviewing. It's more of a review. I'm not gonna cast. I did, however, if you're interested in the .P's successes and failures in AD2L, I've also casted the .P Devils team. Alright. And those are up on the YouTube channel. Anyway, Ember Spirit pick coming out. Ember Spirit is a very popular top tier pick even. A lot of times you'll see him first phase picked or banned in Pro Dota. He's a very good hero right now. He has the advantage, similar to a lot of other heroes we spoke about, like Earthshaker and Spirit Breaker. He can safe lane, he can mid. You can't really off lane him unless, I mean, maybe in like some kind of weird aggressive duo or defensive duo. But he lives options. So he's also a block pick because it's nigh impossible to play PL into Ember Spirit. So they didn't ban PL, obviously. So by picking Ember Spirit, they effectively ban the PL. And .P responds with a Faceless Void pick. I know that's a Wazoo favorite. Faceless Void is very good against Ember Spirit. Not very good against Winter Wyvern, though. I would even argue that Winter Wyvern, I wouldn't say it is a counter to Faceless, but Winter Wyvern's very good against him. Because, you know, Faceless is trying to kill, let's say, your Ember Spirit in a Chronosphere. Winter Wyvern just throws a case of ice around them. Well, let's see, freezing, Cold Embrace. Cold Embrace on him. Oh boy, Doom pick. Have fun. Now I'm realizing why they asked me to review these, because that hero is the bane of my existence. God, I hate it. Doom, I will, for the sake of fairness. Doom is a very top tier pick right now. We see him in a lot of pro games nowadays getting picked or banned in first phase. He is just really good. He can do a lot. He can off lane, he can mid, he can safe lane, he can jungle, and Doom is just a ridiculous ability in and of itself. He's basically, as a hero, it used to be like, oh well, he's only good because of Doom. But now with the buffs to burning, Scorched Earth, rather, he's just a really good mid-game pick, mid-game fighter. He farms pretty well because of Devour, or very well because of Devour. And he has a lot of survivability, again, because of Burning Doom. It gives, like, what, 12 regen at level 1? Yeah, 12, 24, 36, 48. It's obscene. The hero is really strong. Alright, Clockwork Band coming out from Tactical Funk Syndicate, TFS. I guess they assume the Tryhards are picking their off lane, so they're going off the assumption that Earthshaker will not be off laning. I think that's a safe assumption. Generally, you do see Earthshaker in the roaming support position, not the offlane position. But that said, it's not uncommon by any means to see offlane Earthshaker. And a Viper pick, by the way. Viper, just a good hero. He matches up decently well against Doom and Ember. And Spirit Breaker is hard to gank into a Viper. I don't know if I would say that, like, Ember Spirit versus Viper, assuming that's the mid lane, is not ideal. They banned PL. I think that's a smart ban. Because they had already picked Ember Spirit, which is the counter to PL. It makes a lot of sense. And they don't have anything to deal with PL. I mean, they do have Earthshaker, of course. And Lion is pretty decent at dealing with PL. But Faceless does not really flourish against PL, and PL is quite good against Viper. So it's a sensical ban. Let's see here. Let's fast forward a little. Replay system is broken, that's why I'm not using the buttons in the top right hand corner. So hopefully they get that fixed for the sake of my replay review series. And I mean, I just watch a lot of replays of my own even when I'm not strictly reviewing them. So it's a very annoying system because it just crashes your games. Alright, so it looks like they'll probably be picking they're picking their mid here. Leshrac mid, definitely he got hit with the nerf stick real hard, but I think he's still a pretty viable pick. And the Tryhards don't have anything super great to deal with the Leshrac. Like Viper is good against Lesh because Viper has high magic resist. But Earthshaker and Lion, they're not bad against Lesh, but they're also not good against Lesh. And they've already locked themselves into a faceless pick, so it's not like they're going to surprise it with like an Anti-Mage. Although Anti-Mage into Doom is not favorable at all. So this TFS team is not bad. I think it's pretty greedy, and it relies a lot on early aggression. And if the offlane goes poorly and the Doom gets shut down, then they're going to have a lot of problems. Similarly, if there's a Leshrac, it could also be like a farming Leshrac in their safe lane. But odds are it's going to be a farming safe lane Ember Spirit, roaming Spirit Breaker, and then Leshrac will be in the mid lane. Hopefully for them, hopefully dominating the mid, but with the nerf to Lightning Storm, he really is not, he does not dominate nearly like he used to. So we'll see as the game progresses. Omni Knight pick coming out. Okay, so the Omni Knight, good hero to deal with Doom. Oh, so we will be seeing offlane Earthshaker as much as I disparaged it. Omni Knight, good against Leshrac, good against Doom, okay against Ember Spirit. Okay, he's good against Spirit Breaker as well. I think it's a safe pick. Good hero. Highest win rate in pubs for a really long time on Dota buff. Good hero. Mista Blue will be playing Earthshaker in the off lane. Fafnir playing Viper in the mid lane. Faces Void played by Wazoo in the safe lane with Joeshmo and Lion back. Well, Joeshmo and Cyphus playing Omni Knight and Lion respectively, backing him up. And it seems like these two DC'd, so we're gonna have to wait a little once we get into the game. Let's go, Vamonos. Alright, so now we get into the real bulk of the replay review. Oh, I need to change this to free camera. Alright. I may as well. Granted, like I said, I'm not casting it, but TFS Mob is going to be playing Ember Spirit in, I assume, the mid lane, the safe lane rather, but we'll see. Tubby the Tuba, that's a good name, playing Doom in the off lane. Spirit Breaker played by Etosis, a la Tastosis maybe. King Arthur playing Leshrac in the mid lane, and Uncle Ruckus, another good name, played by, or Winter Wyvern played by Uncle Ruckus. Yeah, there's no complaining when you pick Doom. Alright, so I think there's going to be a pretty standard 3-1-1 from both teams, it looks like. Well, 3-1-1, and then the Spirit Breaker will roam, inevitably. Ember Spirit, does he have the rapiers? Nope. Alright, so they're going to run down the top lane. This is a pretty standard play by an organized team. They're not smoking, however, right? Are they going to smoke? No. Lion started boots, though. Oh, they do have a smoke on Omni Knight, but he is lagging behind. Another pause coming out. I like this boot start Lion. Cyphus with his weird ellipses. Very stressful. Alright. Earthshaker, yeah, definitely offlane Earthshaker. He has a ton of regen, 8 tangos, enchanted mango, stout shield, and of course the ward to block. Let's see, the Dire team put down 4 people to bottom lane, and the Radiant team are going to run down and try to gank this Leshrac, I take it. Leshrac has a good vantage point here, he's on the uphill, and generally, yeah, you'll see when people smoke into the enemy jungle, they go through this way, but let's see if it works out. It's not a high risk play in this instance, right, because they put 4 people on bottom. The thing is, it took them way too long, and oh, but Earthshaker is going to wall them off. Nice play, very nice wall. Ideally, they would have done that without losing the rune too. Obviously, it's a win, right? First blood is more important than a rune, but at the same time, the rune does give Lesh an advantage over the Viper, because Viper, he splits the golden XP with everybody from the Radiant team since they 5-manned, whereas Lesh, he just gets flat 100 gold, 100 mana, 100 XP. So you see he's already almost level 2. Viper is not even a quarter of the way to level 2. and Leshrac fares very well with levels. Alright, Wazoo is going to be farming this bottom lane. So it is duos. They're like, what, going to safe lane the Doom and then aggressive try with Spirit Breaker, Winter Wyvern, Ember. That's interesting. I think when you aggro on Ember Spirit, you should probably start with Searing Chains. But to each their own. Especially because you don't have a ton of magic damage coming out from this team. Granted, because you don't have a ton of magic damage, that means that you're going to be able to do more damage with Flame Guard. Alright, Faces Void. Level 2 he got Backtrack. He did a 1-1-0 at level 2. A lot of times I like 1-0-1, but it depends. I guess he sees the nature of this aggro lane. And this Dire team, running an aggro lane like this is pretty dangerous because it's very hit or miss, right? If it works out for them, then they can win. But similarly, if it doesn't work out, they just completely lose. Oh boy, see that Ember Spirit Shield just completely went off. And Searing Change, fun fact, your TIL for this video, is that Searing Chains, even though it is an AoE, it will not connect with things you don't have vision of. So, I mean, for instance, it won't connect with invis units. I may be wrong about the invis units, but I know for sure it does not connect with things you are fogged. So, like, he ran around this tree, and the Ember Spirit Chains did not connect because he was fogged. I like this Poor Man's Shield pickup. Pretty, you know, it's good stats, but it's also, like, just really valuable to block damage from this Winter Wyvern. And this, like, an aggro tri-lane is going to be punching you a lot, so obviously you get a lot of value out of your Poor Man's Shield. Nice split between the line and the Faceless so that Winter Wyvern is just wasting mana. Omni Knight pulling through, standard stuff. Nice pull through. Productive and all that. The Dire team did not block either of the pulls, which is to the advantage of the Radiant. And the Radiant did block their pull, but they're running a solo Doom, so no big deal that it's blocked. Mid lane is a wash, basically. 11 and 1, or 11 and 4, 12, whatever. Basically, they're equal. This is, I would say, a Viper favored matchup in this instance because he does not have his bottle yet. And Faf's doing the right thing here, right? So if you have the clear advantage in the lane and you're a ranged hero, you can just camp up. Like if you have an equal equilibrium at this midpoint in the river, you can just sit up here. You can still kill creeps, and you can zone them really effectively. Wazoo getting aggressive. And this pure damage coming out is just really effective. I'm a little greedy there, but maybe it'll work out. Will we see? Nope. He, let's see. I mean, I think they could have just killed him. I think they really needed to pick a target and stick with it. Like, they kept switching targets, and there wasn't, I don't know, maybe it was a communication error or what. But regardless, if your aggro try isn't getting kills, then it is like a net loss for you, because you're splitting XP over 3 heroes instead of only 1 or 2. And also, like, obviously, if you try line top, then you're pulling, so you're compensating for the XP lost by splitting with the XP gained from neutrals. Oh boy, let's see, will they kill this guy? Oh, they started the attack. Alright, he doesn't dive deep. I think that's smart. Spirit Breaker charged somewhere. Where did he charge? He didn't charge anywhere, actually. He's just sitting around there. Fafnir, rune control, he had a haste rune. That's valuable, especially against the Leshrac. And Lesh, you know, we're all a little scared of Lesh because of last patch, but at the same time, nowadays, he's much less of a threat. Unless you let him snowball, of course. But he got doubly hit since the hero got nerfed a lot and Bloodstone got nerfed a lot. So, not ideal. He is taking a commanding lead. Fafnir is taking a commanding lead of the CS in bottom. Earthshaker kills Doom. Alright, so he just got his Echo Slam. So, you know, getting a kill with your first Echo Slam is always a big deal. That's for sure. And him getting an early blink, potentially, is going to be a big help. Ember Spirit going for phase. Nowadays, a lot of times you'll see treads. I say a lot of times, but it's kind of like 50-50. You probably still see phase more often than not. But yeah. Leshrac and gone on mid. but he gets away. Viper is pretty slow as a hero. As I say that, Leshrac is slower because he doesn't have boots. But that's like the big weakness of Viper, is he's just slow. Like, obviously he slows you, so he compensates for his inherent slowness by slowing other people. But yeah. This Omni has a ton of mana. I assume he brought a few clarities to lane. But he's really just, he's turning out like, what, like 4 purifications? And he does not have a huge hero pool by any means. Faces Voids, last hitting nicely, almost 40 CS at 6 minutes. That is quite good, especially against like an aggressive lane like this. Now, of course, like they didn't kill him or anything, but at the same time, he was just getting aggressed upon, so it's important. All right, you know, Lion, who needs mana when you can just drain the enemy mana? So they're pushing in right now, and this is not ideal, of course, because like you want to have an equilibrium that, like, if you pull and you keep your equilibrium, like the ideal equilibrium is right here. Let's see, can I draw on the map when I'm viewing? Nope, I cannot. Leshrac killing Viper, sorry, I got distracted. They rotated to mid lane, but it did not work out. Or it wasn't fast enough. But, you know, 1 kill is not the end of the world. Or 1 death, rather. Similarly, 1 kill for Leshrac. It's not going to be like, oh boy, he snowballs so hard because of that 1 kill. And the big thing we notice is Wazoo's left down bottom alone. And granted, he does have 2 levels in backtrack. Generally, you don't see this. Backtrack, it does not. I don't know. I'm conflicted because on backtrack, sometimes you'll get it and you'll just get lucky and you'll backtrack like a super clutch ability and it's pretty game winning potentially. But at the same time, getting extra levels in Time Walk is like a ton of value. And you really need those extra levels in Time Walk in the future. Is he going to use his ult? Yes, he is. Oh boy, this... See, he like barely gets anywhere. Oh, but he'll live. I think that was maybe a little miscommunication. Overall, I don't know what the plan is here. Like, if this guy just gets some lucky 70%, use your passive Spirit Breaker? Nope. This is very all-in. Oh, a nice Omni heal. And at this point, they have committed so much to bottom lane that Fafnir, he's just getting more CS in mid lane. But in the same vein, because the Earthshaker roamed, now Doom is catching up in his top lane despite his early death. Omni Knight killing Leshrac, another nice Earthshaker stun. And Earthshaker having mana boots is going to help out these guys since they don't have mana boots yet. Although Omni Knight will have money to get a soul ring, assuming that's what he's doing. He may be holding out to possibly just get mana boots. We'll see. Doom is level 8 though, so obviously he's level 8, so he has Doom, which that is the point at which he becomes a big problem. And with level 4 Devour, he is going to be accelerating his farm greatly. It's 100 gold every 40 seconds. It's basically like a Midas. It's a little worse than Midas. It's, you know, either way, good money. Winter Wyvern, that was a nice sentry. Narrowly avoided Viper. I suppose they're sentrying here to get some aggression in. However, they did narrowly miss this Observer Ward both sentries. And more importantly, they have abandoned their Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit, alright, so he went for a level in Sleight of Fist. Personally, I don't like to have a level in Sleight of Fist. It's like a really... Unless you have, like, Battle Fury, it doesn't do much in the very early game, right? Like, it has a 30-second cooldown. It costs 50 mana. It costs an eighth of your mana to do 20 damage plus 65 plus 24, so it does like 100 damage before resistances. And only half of that to creeps. Like, it's really... I don't know. It's not much. And now, like, alright, so he's level 6. Let's say he uses 150 mana to activate a Remnant. Like, he throws his 3 Remnants at Wazoo. Alright, let's pause. Let's do some math. Alright, let's say Oh, sorry. So the common thing on Ember Spirit is to throw 3 remnants. If he throws 3 remnants, or any remnants, it doesn't matter. It costs the same amount of mana, no matter what. It's 150 mana. He's going to have Flame Guard up additionally, so that's 250 mana total, because, I mean, you don't do damage without Flame Guard, especially when you have 3 points in Flame Guard. So it's 250 mana, he has a total of 416, and of course you have to Searing Chains to do any damage. Yeah, because, I mean, otherwise, if you don't Searing Chains, they just run away. And so that's 250 plus 110, 360. So if he has all his mana possible, he can use all his abilities and 1 Sleight of Fist. And that's like, you know, that's assuming, again, he has all his mana. Oftentimes he's not going to have all his mana. And of course he has a stick, but who cares about a stick when you don't have any charges? So I think it's very questionable. Generally what I like is to do the like 203 or 302 depending on the instance, because sometimes, you know, if you're not taking any magical damage, sometimes it's more value to get that extra 120 damage from Searing Chains and the extra second of duration. Because it scales really well, right? 80 to 120 is only plus 40 damage, but then 120 to 240 is 120 extra damage. That's a lot of damage. That's double damage, effectively. So that's really something to take into consideration. And it's a full extra second, right? If he had a level 2 chains even, and he could still have 3 points in Flame Guard, level 2 chains, that's a full second, and that's an additional 40 damage. So that's really a big deal. But, I mean, we're mostly going to try to focus our review on the Radiant team. But still, I mean, if you play Ember, that's something to take into consideration. He has very varied skill builds. Pretty even early game, though. Like, the Radiant team is definitely leading in CS. Let's see. So the proper play here would be for these supports to rotate. They are not doing that. And Faf, he will live, but at the same time as he lives, he... pinpoint accuracy with his fissure. Almost has blink. So Earthshaker rotated, which is good. He could have rotated. Alright, so let's like let's go back a little bit. Alright. Again, I can't navigate that well because I don't want to crash this and lose my recording. Alright, so in this instance, Earthshaker is TPing here. If Earthshaker TPs over, like... Alright, so they're chasing down Fafnir. If he puts his TP here, they are going to be disrupted, like, greatly, obviously, because they're going to see his TP no matter what, right? Obviously, they see, oh, cool, alright, orange player is TPing here. But if he TPs here, not only are they disrupted, just like they're being disrupted here, but if, like, alright, so we know Leshrac runs this way, we can kill him anyway. But if they stay, you know, he can just come in, he has Echo up, just TP in, Echo. Or TP in and use Enchant Totem and stun people, and you don't even need to Echo. So I think TPing more aggressively, because his plan here is to be aggressive. His plan here is not to be defensive. If he was trying to be defensive, he would have TP'd earlier, like the supports should have. But, you know, Omni Knight does not have a TP, and Lion does not have a TP, so, you know, it's a very simple exchange. You know, you don't have a TP, you can't TP. They just TP'd top, it looks like. Yeah, so, yeah, I think TPing aggressively into these 3 would have been good. Because they can't kill you, right? Like, what are they going to do? Winter Wyvern, all his abilities are on cooldown. Leshrac has no mana, and he's almost dead. Spirit Breaker, who cares? He's Spirit Breaker. So I think a more aggressive TP would have been more productive. That said, you know, you still get a kill. So it's not like he lost anything, right? Like, it's still a very valuable rotation. But at the same time, if he had rotated a little differently, potentially he could have gotten more kills. And even if he didn't, in a different instance, maybe he could have. So you always want to have that maximum efficiency. And TPing, there's a big difference between TPing in different spots. Like, you know, sometimes you're TPing under fog, other times you're TPing to get someone to leave you alone. You know, like, if they started the dive and he TP'd up here, then they probably wouldn't have chased at all. So in a different instance, maybe that would have been the play. That said, Earthshaker's about to have his rune Wazoo in a bad way. He's going to have to... Alright, so he can have a 3-man chrono. Yeah, alright. That was a little weird. You probably should have ran this way, and you TP switched to strength. But realistically, they put 4 people on you. You're not going to have a good time. so it's hard to live. That said, if he had, alright, so he has 4 points in time lock, which a lot of people time their 4 points time lock with their Mask of Madness timing, which makes sense, of course, like, you know, that's a very important thing. But at the same time, he has an extra point in backtrack, 5% additional backtrack chance. That's not going to make the difference. Whereas an extra couple hundred range and more movement slow, if you're using it aggressively on your time walk, probably going to do you a lot more favors in the long run. It was just a nice play by Leshrak. So their aggression is finally paying off. Granted, this Doom is just hanging out, free farming. Oh boy, are they trying to bait this Earthshaker illusion? Like, on one level they are, on another level, like, he's very clearly visible. Alright. Faceless Void comes back down to bottom. I think the play here... Alright, so he comes to bottom, right? What do you get from bottom, potentially? Nothing. He has Chrono down. Alright, Viper pushes mid. That's a good trade. But he comes bottom and he gets nothing. Alright, but he has a Mask of Madness. Like, he could have taken this hard camp, he could have taken this mid camp, or medium camp, and then rotated and either kept taking jungle camps, or he could have rotated to mid, because by then he would have had Chrono back up. But at this point, you know, he spent like a minute getting nothing, and now he gets like a few creeps, yeah, but that's only after everybody's rotated into his lane. So that's what you talk about when you talk about efficiency. Like, you could have made a couple hundred extra gold by doing other stuff. That said, with all these people here, and with the fresh mechanism, they are going to be able to just push down this tower, and they will have Chrono up soon. I think, I mean, obviously I don't know what he's going to do this game, but I think this is a really good Aghanims Faceless game, because they're trying to play this, like, early mid-game aggression pushing strat with, like, you know, the Viper's mech timing. So, that's what has potential. Mech timing and, of course, Earthshaker blink timing. That said, Earthshaker he's not in a good way. Surprisingly, Doom did not just blink on him and kill him. That was pretty silly. And he just wasted a bunch of mana doing Tornado. That makes no sense. Alright. They took that bottom tower, though, and obviously Earthshaker just gets away scot-free. Oh my gosh, that was such a ballsy play. I am amazed that worked. Or I shouldn't be amazed that worked, but at the same time, that was like, you know, it was a ballsy play. I think he could have just thrown the fissure and done nothing else, and like they still would have gotten the same end goal. But I mean, yeah, he wouldn't have had level 2 Echo Slam, I suppose. He wouldn't have gotten that level 11, so that's nice. And, you know, AoE gold and all that. Ember Spirit. He's not going to match up well against this Viper. That said, Viper, I think, should come mid, and they should just take this T2. They have Chrono up. They have all their ults. Well, they don't have Lion ult, but who cares? This is really their time. And he's doing the right thing, right? So he's TP in mid. Alright, let's see. Faceless Void getting ulted by... Oh, let's see. He's going to get doomed. Why is this Doom player? Doom, use your abilities. Have Doom use it. Oh my god. Alright, this Doom player. Okay, so Radiant team, this is definitely a win for them. They traded they traded nothing to get 2 kills, and Doom got wasted. I think they really lucked out. I think if the Doom had just used Doom properly, this fight could have gone much worse for the Radiant team. Like, he has a Blink Dagger. You don't buy a Blink Dagger and then like putz around in the back line, not dooming anybody. But also, I shouldn't be so mean, but maybe my inner anti-Doom bias is bleeding through. That said, this is the right play, right? So you get your mech, you have all your ults up, you push, you take objectives. And now they take this tier 2, then they can rotate bottom, take this, or they could rotate top, take this, or they could just go Roche. They have a lot of possibilities. They have a really good 5-man team too. Like, once you have your key items on each, you have your Mask of Madness on Faceless, you have your Blink Dagger on Earthshaker, and you have your Mechanism on Viper. That's there's some big benchmarks that you become much more aggressive at the points that you get those items. So when you get them all within like a 5-minute period, you have like a massive power boost. So that's kind of time where you want to take objectives. You don't want to sit back and farm after buying a mech, because, you know, mech does not help you farm, right? So that was totally the right play. And they're just getting fatter and fatter. I think, yeah, alright. So let's see if they try to push into this. I think they can. Like they're pretty full. Yeah, and of course, yeah. This is the play. It's just simple aggression. Like you get all your items, you aggress. It's very, I keep repeating the same thing, but that is the proper play. And oftentimes you'll see teams lose because they get those key timings in, and that's fine. But then, if you don't five-man, who cares what items you have? Or, I mean, you don't even need to five-man necessarily, but if you don't press objectives, your items don't mean much. That's what happens when like people lose to like a late game Spectre, and it's like, oh well, you drafted early game, you drafted right to beat a Spectre or a Naga or what have you, but who cares if you drafted right if you didn't play it right? Alright, so clearly they're just like walking down, taking objectives. You could fast forward a little. 2x speed, alright. They're trying to do that again, I take it. No, I guess they're trying to Roche. This is not, they don't have a really good Roche lineup. Yeah, see, they recognize that and they don't Roche at all. Nice kill. Earthshaker. Earthshaker Omni, that's a lot of burst damage. Because, I mean, you could blink and then purify. I like this draft a lot. I think it's a very, like, the first two picks are not indicative of any one strat. So, although Earthshaker is a pretty common first ban, Lion, however, is pretty much never banned. So I like this draft in general. It's very like well-rounded, and Viper's a really strong lane dominator. So I should say mostly I like that mid lane or the opening of Earthshaker and Lion, because it gives you a lot of possibilities. He has a lot of potential. All right, although Lion does have his weaknesses, that's why you don't see him in pros. Alright, so once all their ults are up again, I think they've got the right idea here, and they're just going to 5-man again. And this Dire team, they have okay wave clear, like they have Leshrac, they have Winter Wyvern who maxed Splinter Blast, and they have Ember Spirit. But definitely, like, they have such an advantage right now. Like, let's look. Money Graph, they have like a 13,000 gold lead at 20 minutes. That is a big deal. So they're playing it right by just pushing in. Null Talisman on Spirit Breaker. Maybe he's doing some gimmicky Dagon build. I don't know. I don't want to think too hard about that. Ooh, Faceless Void gets doomed. Good hero. Doom accidentally stomped. I don't know what that was. That must have been a misclick. You should have blinked and then ground pounded, but whatever. Doom is gone. Alright, but, they killed Leshrac, Doom is down, so Faceless can do what he wants and use regen. Purification, I mean, not just Purification, but Omni Knight in general is very good against Doom, provided Omni Knight does not get doomed, of course. Alright, so this game is quite over, but, we'll watch it out, see if we get anything to talk about. I think this Viper, his aggression paired with the Earthshaker's early blink, it was a big point at which they won. And definitely, I think really the key to them winning here is on those timings. Like, they got all their items right around the right time. And, like, of course they were winning the early game too, so they may have won anyway. But the drafts were like slightly favored in DotP, I think. And of course I may have a little underlying bias I'm not conscious of. But I think the key really was they got their items and then they just pushed and they took objectives. They didn't putz around and like get their items and then just farm more. And it's very attractive, especially if you're a core player, to think like, oh well, your teammate says, okay, let's push, and you say, all right, well I'm only 1,000 away from whatever my Daedalus, and then you delay and you delay, and then your Aegis fades, or the enemy team takes Roche, or the enemy team has a carry that comes online. And excuse me, having all your stuff up is like, Jesus, I'm dying. Having all your stuff up is very, if you have everything up, you should be doing something. If you have an ultimate that has a 120 second cooldown, I'm not saying you should use every 120 seconds, But ideally, that's what you'd be doing. Obviously, if you have a 120-second cooldown ult, and you're only use it every 8 minutes, you know, clearly you should be doing something different. So yeah, kind of like Doom. Doom is a very opportunistic hero. Like, you have Doom up, you take a fight, you take a pick off. You don't sit around with Doom on off cooldown for a long time, like this Doom did. So they definitely benefit from that. I'm not sure if this team, maybe they picked Doom just because they see like, oh hey, the pros are picking Doom a lot, or oh man, like Doom, good hero. But it didn't work out like they planned. Thankfully, because God, I hate Doom. Alright, so let's see. This should be like the death push. Well, what's the word? Death, I think that crocodiles do. Alright. Kind of a wasted chrono. But I think he was trying to catch an Ember Spirit in it too. It was close, but alas. Poor Yorick. That said, you know, this Dire team cannot fight into it. Sounds like we have thunder in the background. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. They're going to try to defend, but, you know, realistically, they're so far behind net worth-wise, item-wise, XP-wise. This is just, this game is very over. Alright. Yep. Aghanim's up. That's big. Ember Spirit can dodge that, by the way, if you're playing Ember Spirit. Oh, Winter Wyvern is admirable attempt, but it did not work out. He was trying to just TP in there in Winter's Curse, but yeah. Well, Omni Knight's really good for these like 5-man aggression pushes too, because he just he has a ton of sustain. He has his ult, so it's really hard to engage into him, and it's very very successful. All right, so I you know, like we said, this game is over basically, but we had. I think the really big thing to take away from here was we had a really successful series of engages where they got their items on a good time and then they all combined. So like Earthshaker getting his blink on a good timing is great. Earthshaker and Viper and a Faceless all getting their items on a good timing is even better, because you have clear synergy, right, between a bunch of different heroes getting a bunch of different items all at the same time. So when you all hit your power peaks at the same time, your team as a whole hits a power peak at a very good time. Alright, yeah, see, it was a... Okay, well, maybe it wasn't intentionally. Alright, this game... Oh, maybe the GG out didn't work? Yeah, okay. So we don't need to watch this end. Alright, so I will also be casting their second game, if I can find it, and hopefully it's as good as this one. I think we definitely learned something about item progression. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, I'm Ursinity. If you have any questions, you have replays you want me to review, I'll be more than happy to do it. I'm at Ursinity on Twitter. You can always catch me there. I am on Twitter constantly. So yeah, and hopefully this kind of commanding performance by the DotP team is mirrored in future games. Alright, so catch you on the next game. Thanks for listening.